Hey everyone! Now that you've created your skinny brick and all your configurations, it's time to move on to creating your derived parts for your Milestone 2. This video focuses on the derived parts for the helicopter project, so if that's not your project, look for the other videos made. So to begin, we're going to go to New, select Part. Make sure your part document window is in millimeters. Then go over to Insert, Part, and then we're going to select our skinny brick we created. We do not want to change the values or dimensions in the part, so just select No there. So we are creating derived parts that are going to be used from that flat brick from the configurations we made. Derived parts allow one file to reference another. So that's the point of this assignment. Plus to save you some time because we no longer have to create that 2x1 feature. If when you just inserted your part it did not come up your 2x1, go ahead and go to that part you inserted, right click, go to List External References. Under configuration name you can hit the drop down arrow and select any of the configurations we made. This will come in handy as well for when we create other parts. So now I'm going to select this face and bring it normal too. So the first part we're going to create is part number 4615649. It kind of looks like a white shelf part. So go to Sketch, open a new sketch, and select that rectangle icon. I'm going to start at the top, so I have a point connected, and just bring my rectangle down. Let's smart dimension that outside edge to be 16. Hit OK. So now I'm just going to add in a relationship between this outside line and the edge of my brick and make them collinear. By doing that, my whole sketch is now fully defined. Now let's go to the Features tab and Extrude. So we do want to extrude away from our part just because there is a little added depth there. But this part is much skinnier than the rest of the Lego parts. So its depth is only 1.5. Hit OK. So we have that basic shelf now. Now I'm going to go ahead and select create my knobs on the top. So go ahead and select that front face, bring it normal to, go to Sketch, open a sketch, and circle. So now the thing here is you can go back to your first directions for skinny brick to see what size these need to be, except that they are hollow on the inside, which we will talk about. So let's dimension. The midpoint from the top of our part is going to be 4. The midpoint to the side dimension is also going to be 4. And our overall diameter is going to be 5. So now that's fully defined. Since I'm going to create a linear pattern, I'm just going to create an inner circle so that this only extrudes so far. So go ahead and select another circle sketch. Make sure you're on that midpoint. Now I want to create a wall thickness here. That is, and I'm just using my calipers to measure, about 0.85. So pretty close right there, 0.85. And hit OK. Now go to your Features tab and let's extrude that. So it's still the same height, so it does go up 1.8. You can turn sideways to see a preview. Make sure you're only extruding the annulus, not the inside. Now I'm going to go up to my linear pattern feature. My direction 1 is going to be this top edge going away from the node I just created. Its distance is still 8 millimeters, and I only want 2 of them. Direction 2 is going to be this bottom edge. Make sure you change your arrow or change your direction so it goes on the bottom or towards the bottom. That distance is going to be 8 as well, and I only want 2. I'm going to hit OK. Now I'm going to select my part because it is white and go to the color wheel and change its appearance. So select white and hit OK. So it looks a little strange, so let's go to our material since it's not specified. Right click, go to edit material. We will go down to plastics, ABS plastic, and apply. Now we have a white Lego piece. So there is an error, so let's find out what the error is. I want to make sure this says 2 here and not 4, and hit OK. So you can see we now have that part completely built, and it was much easier than trying to build it from scratch basically. So go to File, Save As. Make sure you're saving all your parts in the same folder, so when you go to create your final assembly, everything pulls up and you don't have any issues there. So this part number was 4615649, and hit save. So now let's move on to your second part. So I'm just going to exit this. Now we're going to build part number 4556157. So it is a 2x1 with 2 clamp arms basically. So go up to New, select Part again, make sure we're in millimeters. Go to Insert, Part, and that same skinny brick. We don't want to change the dimensions. Make sure by going to List External References you are using flat brick, and hit OK. So I'm going to change the material, edit material, and go to Plastics, ABS, and Apply, and close. So now this part is gray, so I'm just going to change its color now. So select on it, go to the color wheel for appearance, and let's change it to gray. Hit OK. Alright, so now to begin, let's go ahead and select this plane and bring it normal 2. Now creating the claws are, I feel, the most difficult. So we want to go ahead and insert a plane that is going to appear to be tangent to this top node, so we can sketch our part in this direction. And we're only going to sketch one claw. Then we're going to use the awesome mirror feature and mirror it to the other side, so we don't have to put in that much work. So go ahead and go to your Features tab, select Reference Geometry and Plane. Our first reference is going to be this end piece, and we want to bring it about 6 millimeters. Let's flip it so it goes in. So see how it appears to be almost tangent to that node. Hit OK. Now let's bring it normal to us, that plane, because this is where we're going to sketch our claw. So I'm going to go to Sketch, select my line segment. Now this claw space is the same thickness of our Lego 2x1. So go ahead and select the top endpoint and the bottom to have that first line segment. Now I'm just going to select a bottom line here. I'm going to come up to the top and create a line segment. I'm going to dimension those first. So this top one is about 1 millimeter and our bottom line is 2. So you can see it is larger. Now we're going to start with the claw itself. So there are multiple ways to approach this, and some of them can be pretty difficult. So to begin with, I'm going to come up here to my tangent arc icon. Instead, I'm going to select the 3-point arc. Now I'm just going to draw the basic outline. So my claw kind of starts up here, then I have a piece that goes a little below the bottom, and then the inside comes in where eventually it's going to be hitting these lines. Now I'm going to create my outside loop, then the inside, and then the last outside loop, just so it has that basic shape. Hit OK. Now I'm going to create some relationships. So to begin with, I'm going to select this outside line, hold down Control and select this endpoint. I'm going to hit coincident, just so it connects me to that line segment. I'm going to do the same to the bottom endpoint, so hold down Control and select the arc, and coincident. Okay. Now I'm going to add in a tangent relationship just so this flows smoothly together. We have tangent here. Okay. I'm going to add another one on this side. Hit OK. Then I'm going to add in the relationship between these two circles, so they're going to be concentric, just so we have that same spacing all the way around, and hit OK. So now let's start dimensioning. So this outside radius I measure, and it's about 0.5. This radius is the same. Now my overall is about 2.6 for a radius. So I'll snap it down to the size we need to be. Then let's get out of our dimensions. Okay. So I know that I want my part to line up with each other. So go ahead and select these endpoints. Let's make them vertical so they line up with one another. Hit OK. Now I'm also going to create a distance between my claw. So I'm going to select Smart Dimension, the midpoint of both of these, and this distance I'm measuring to be about 2.44. So it kind of closes in, so then we're going to be able to snap onto our Lego bars or pieces. And hit OK. So we're still undefined here. So to solve this, let's work on adding in another relationship. So select this outside edge and the inner. Let's make those tangent with one another. So because we have this vertical relationship, it automatically snapped this sketch into being fully defined. So now we can go to the Features tab and hit that extruded boss/base icon. I'm going to turn this to the side so you can see a little bit. So now when I measure the thickness, I'm measuring about 3.2. So I'm going to leave this thickness. The selected contours, make sure you're selecting the claw you just drew as well as this bottom kind of rectangle extrude. So you need to select both of those sketch regions and hit OK. So now we have our basic claw. So now I'm going to come in and I'm going to go to Reference Geometry and Plane. I want to add a plane in the middle of my 2x1 part so I can just mirror this claw and not have to draw it again. So the first reference is going to be this end, my second reference the other end. So now I have a plane directly in the middle. I'm going to come up to the mirror icon, select that plane you just inserted, then Features to Mirror, select the whole part you just drew, and hit OK. So that saved us a lot of time on that 1x2 with two claws. Now you don't have to keep your planes visible, so I'm just going to select the plane and hit this eye icon so you can see that that hides the planes. And there we have our next part. So go to File, Save As, make sure you're in the right folder, and this part file number is 4556157. Go ahead and hit Save. So let's move on to our last piece. So once again, go to New Part. Make sure your part document window is in millimeters. And let's go up to Insert and Part and Skinny Brick. Make sure we're using that 2x1. I'm going to change my material to plastic, ABS, and hit Apply. Now this part we're going to build is part number 451 5369. So it is a light gray. So I'm going to just change that color, go to that color wheel for your appearance. It's a lighter gray than we've been using, and hit OK. Now this part is actually built off of this plane, and we can use that mirror feature again, but we won't need to insert a plane tangent because we can just sketch it right from the edge. So I'm going to bring this plane normal to. So I want to sketch those two arms off of this side. So make sure this plane's selected. We're going to go sketch. And now we're just going to start with the basic lines. So I'm going to select this endpoint down to here to close it off. Then I have a longer line on the bottom. I'm going to go back to that endpoint, create a tangent arc. And then I have a straight line coming in. And hit OK. Now let's add in a dimension or a relationship here between these two. That's going to be tangent. If you get this error, it's because we're using this coincident line, and we don't need that. So select that relationship and hit delete. Then it will kind of snap that into the right sketch that we want. And now we need a dimension. So come up to your dimension tab. This is where it does get a little tricky, just because these dimensions are so small. So for the top, I have about a 2. And then the bottom, I want to say is about 3. .6. Actually, I zeroed my calipers, remeasured, and it's about 4.4. It is much longer. Now, this is fully defined because we have this tangent arc. I just want to double check this dimension. So a radius of 2.5, and that's correct. I'm not going to set it since it's already fully defined. If I click this dimension, it's going to say it's a driven dimension, which just means I'm over defining it because this tangent relationship automatically gave me the radius that I needed. So now we have the basic outline, everything's fully defined. So let's go to features and let's extrude it. So it extrudes, I want to double check, but about 2 millimeters. The cool thing about your Lego parts is most of them are all the same width and size. So this is about 2.2. I'm going to turn it to the side. Remember, we do want it to go in. So switch that direction and hit OK. Now, to mirror this part, we need to insert a plane that's in the middle of our 2x1. So go ahead and under your Features tab, go to Reference Geometry and Plane. Select the one side and then the other side. So now that plane is inserted directly in the middle and hit OK. Still under the Features tab, go to your Mirror feature. The plane is already highlighted. If yours isn't, go ahead and click it. Then your features to mirror, you're going to want to select that extrude we just built. So I'm going to do that by just coming over to this drop down option, just so I'm not selecting the entire side since it has become one with our 2x1 brick, and hit OK. So that fits perfectly. Now we just need to create the cylinder that is in the middle. So remember, all your Lego parts have similar sizes. So we can either sketch from the inside, or we could sketch from the outside and bring it all the way in. It might be easier to do that just because it's kind of hard to sketch this way. So I'm going to select the outer face. It's already normal to. Go to Sketch, open a new sketch, and select a circle. I'm going to use the same midpoint just so I only have to dimension the diameter of this part, which is 3.2, and I don't have to dimension anything else since I'm sharing the same midpoint. In my features, I'm just going to extrude that base. For here, I'm going to come up to surface. I'm going to select this inner face. Make sure you have merge results selected as well and hit OK. So much easier to draw on the outside. Remember, if you don't want to see the plane, just select it, hit the eye icon to hide it, and there is that Lego piece. Go to File, Save As, save in the same folder you've been saving all your other parts, and this is part number 4515369, and hit OK. So you can see using the derived parts saves a lot of time because you're not having to constantly rebuild that part. You can just insert them. You can do this with more of your Lego pieces as well, especially if you're using any of your configurations. Just change them through that list of external references. If you have any questions, please let me know.